We're starting a new season and you're kicking it off, and I look forward to it.
Oh, this is your new season?
Oh, yes, sir. I'm just waiting on the next notification. Okay. And boom. And we are live. I want to thank everyone for tuning in to a very special edition of Off the Record on the People's Podcast this afternoon. We have an incredible guest with us, one who came last time with such energy and gave us information as well as inspiration, and got a lot of comments on YouTube of people wanting him to come back. That is none other than Brother Farrakhan Ali. First of all, assalamu alaikum, sir.
Alaikum salam, Brother John.
Yes, sir. Well, the first thing that we want to know is, first of all, how are you and the family doing? How's everybody doing?
Everybody as well, brother. Thank you for asking.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. No problem. Thank you. I want to thank all of my guests who are coming back. We have taken a small break to get prepared for this next season, and we're kicking it off today. So we're honored to have Brother Farrakhan Ali kick the season off. The first question I want to know for you, sir, is before we went live, you said you spoke about traveling to 25 countries. Can you tell us where you've traveled and what has been so fun about that?
Sure. Well, first, thanks for having me on the podcast. It's an honor. I appreciate it. I'm a big fan, always have been. And so going to different countries started when I became a student of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And I noticed that it really forced me to open up my mind to applying what I was learning to different groups of people in different environments, and really thinking of how we can solve the needs, because you grow up as a Black man in America, you have a set of problems, but then you go overseas and you find other people have other sets of problems. And so when you start to look for solutions, you find that the problem is not necessarily specific to your own personal experience. The problem is that people lack the proper knowledge that we need to overcome our environment and produce a better environment. So knowledge is like the answer to all of our problems. Like there's universal problems, and the teachings is a universal answer. And so, but I didn't start out that way, you know. I started out just trying to heal myself from the effects of white supremacy. And then it expanded outward to my brother or sister. But as you travel, you find that other people are suffering as well, from ignorance, from racism, from sexism, from materialism. And in the teachings, you find a solution to all of that. We just have to put it, just to present it to them in a way that they can understand it. Yes, sir.
Beautiful. All praise due to Allah. My sisters Miriam and Naima both sent the greetings and said they're happy to have the People's Podcast back. Thank you all for your patience, and we're happy to be back as well. Well, sir, my next question is, out of those 25 countries, what is your favorite one to travel to?
Favorite place by far would be Mecca, Arabia. The country of Arabia, city of Mecca, the holy city. The energy there is very beautiful. And it's a environment that is full of people who, regardless of whatever school of thought that we may have, they're conscious. They're conscious of Allah. And so when you're in that environment, it's like the energy that's produced is profound. It's a profound energy. And there's something special about it. There's a reason that we chose that place. It's not that the current inhabitants are holy. It's that it's our home. It's where we chose to live, to inhabit on this earth. And once we came and established that as our home, that thought never dies. That thought never dies. So everyone that's there now is just really just an extension of the thoughts that we conceived in the beginning. And at some point, it's going to grow to a point where we return back there and establish that as our home. Not necessarily in place of America, but in addition to. God is the best of planners. I'm not declaring anything, but I am saying that that is our home, and there's something very special about it. When I'm there, I always love being around the Muslims. Being in America, you're surrounded by people who may not necessarily be as conscious of God as you are. That's why we want to build our own community. That's literally what we're trying to do. We're trying to build. So when you go to Mecca, you're driving, like, let's say you're driving from Medina, it's a big sign that says Muslims this way, non-Muslims that way. You got to go around Mecca. You got to drive. So that's symbolic. That's symbolic of a way of thinking. People who are conscious of Allah, people who are here for the sake of Allah, for the pleasure of Allah, come this way, come to prayer, come to success. That's where we're headed. So when you get around people, especially in the month of Ramadan, holy month of Ramadan or for Hajj, I've only been for a purpose. I haven't been just to, hang out with the people who live there. I came with other people who came for the same purpose. And when that energy meets at one place, it's fantastic and it's amazing and it's life-changing.
Praise be to Allah. Beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah.
And Brother Kevin I love you more, Brother Kevin. Thank you for the love. And thank everyone who continues to like, share, and subscribe to the People's Podcast as we get this great information and inspiration today, sir. You spoke earlier, you told us, well, off camera, we wanted to talk on camera now, about you going to the Most High Mitzvah's Farrakhan's farm. What was that like? Can you share with us some of the memories from there?
Yeah, so the trip to the farm that is very special to me was when I was with someone, one of his family members, and I was going there. I was following them. So we were going there, and when we got there, that person is telling the minister stuff that we talked about on the way there, because we had stopped for food like on the way there, like two hours before we got there. And so they go in there and tell them all this stuff that they heard, all this stuff that they gained from our conversation, like stuff that they heard about me and their thoughts that they shared on what I shared. And so they went in to tell their father. And then he's like, well, I want to talk more about it. Tell him to, so we come into the house, right? And then they go in and they tell him, and he's like, well, I'm not really in a position to come out and talk right now. But tell him I'm going to invite him to dinner and we'll talk later. So they tell me and we hang out, we take a picture and so I had an amazing time, right? Amazing experience. And so we didn't hang out like that. I mean, we talked, and then so at a later time, maybe a couple months later, sure enough, it's like, Brother Farrakhan, come to the palace in Chicago. And so that farm led to this experience. Do you want me to go into this as well, or do you want me to
please,
just
take your time. Take your time.
Okay, so I'm like, okay, bet. So I run out of Mas Maria. I'm like, like, gotta go. See you later, like road runner. You know what I mean? So yeah, anyway, so I go over to the palace and we walk in and he's like, and it's a meeting for minister, it's a minister only meeting. So I didn't know that until I got there. It's like, it's a meeting for all the ministers. Now I was an assistant minister at the time in Detroit. But it wasn't any assistant ministers there. It was just ministers, right? And so I'm walking in, and then he stops and he says, he's sitting first we're sitting on the little chairs and Mother Khadijah walks out ahead of time. And would you believe she sits right next to me? So I'm like, Allah, what did I do? What did I do to deserve this mercy? So I'm like, I'm gonna shoot my shot. You know what I mean? Like, Mother Khadijah, it's so nice to see you. And I was just speaking from the heart. I don't even remember what I said. I was just telling her whatever was on my heart. about how amazing of a woman she is and how much we love her and honor. Any opportunity that I get, I'm just going to give it. I'm just going to pour it out, and so she received it and she said something back, and we even had a tiny little dialogue before the minister comes out. And so the Honorable Minister Farrakhan comes out and has a seat at the end of the table. So then we all get up and we're walking to the big, the big table. And then he's like, brother, stops us. And he's like, what would you say your role is in the Nation of Islam? And we're all walking, and I'm still going over the fact that he's talking to me, right? So it took me a minute, and I'm like, well, brother minister, I would say I'm just a brother. I'm like, oh, I'm just a brother, like that's all I saw myself as, And he's like, he gets this big smile on his face, big smile. And he's like, me too. like, wow. And then he says, that's the perfect answer. That's what he says to me. He says, brother, that's the perfect answer. He said, I'm just a brother as well. And then I said, well, sometimes I help minister such and such. And he looks at the minister and he looks at Mother Khadijah, who's now sitting right next to him. And then he looks back at me and he says, yeah, and sometimes I help my wife. And then I said, oh, okay. And we're all smiling. Everybody's smiling at this point because the energy is high, and I think he's still smiling. Like we're all just, the brother thing, it lifted it up. When he said, oh, I'm just a brother too, we're all like, okay, we're all just brothers, Yes, sir, brother minister. And so we sat down, and then after we ate, he said, brother, tell me about your mother. He said, tell us about your mother. He said, your mother is a white woman, right? And I said, yes, sir. And we talked. And he said, brother, you're blessed. He said, you're blessed. He said, and you're blessed because of your mother. He said, she's a Muslim. He said, for what she did, we talked about what she did, and what she did, she lost. Not only did she lose everything that she knew, she willingly gave it up. She was happy to give up. She had a rich Jewish father. She gave up her inheritance. She was happy to give it up. She gave up all her friends, her Jewish friends. She gave up her white friends. She gave up not necessarily the homosexual community, because she was a huge advocate for the lesbian community. Huge. She was one of the founders of the feminist movement in the 70s. One of the founders. She went through the whole gambit of helping disenfranchised, oppressed people, or what we perceive as such, especially at that time. And she ended, obviously, after all that, she ended up at Minister Farrakhan. And so, and then Black people, of course, are looking at you crazy because you're a white woman. How are you, so she gave up everything. She gave it all up to follow through on what she said God showed her. She said, God gave me this vision of this Black child named Farrakhan helping Minister Farrakhan. And she said, it doesn't matter what anyone cares or says. I'm following through with this vision. So, even though we ended up homeless and penniless because of it, and her fighting to survive and having me, and we didn't even have a home, for that, the minister declared her a Muslim. She earned her right to join the original nation she rejected her nature, and she accepted the God of the hour. She accepted the God's commandment that's on the scene now. She accepted what he told her to do and why he told her to do it, and she wouldn't let anyone turn her away. And for that, the minister declared her a Muslim that night at dinner. And then he talked about the Holy Prophet, and he talked about Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and he said that white people, he said, well, someone asked the question, how could the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad say Prophet Muhammad was white, but then say he's original? How can those two things coexist? And so the Honorable Mr. Farrakhan broke it down and said that when a white person rejects their nature and accepts what God tells them to do, they become a member of the original family. Not that, not that they're no longer who they are, but they are able to join on as a member of the original family. And so that was the science of my mother being a Muslim. Even though she never took a shahada, she never wrote a letter or anything like that. She never even went to a mosque in her entire life. And obviously it didn't matter because, you have people who God tells you to do something, and you have somebody who says, okay, God, I'm going to do it. Sometimes they do it, sometimes they strive, sometimes they don't do it at all. Then you have someone who doesn't give their word, but then they go ahead and do what God told them to do. They missed the meeting, but they carried out the instruction. You have people who came to the meeting and didn't carry out the instruction. Yeah. So yes, sir. So, and then after that, we talked more. So the minister's still talking. He's talking about my mom. He's talking about the Holy Prophet. He's talking about me and said some good things about me that made me, feel really good about myself. And it's really important that, that we seek the best in our people and we tap into the best part and we share that part with them because it encourages them to be better. People can live up to their potential if they're encouraged to do that. Whatever we tell someone they are, sometimes they may actually believe it. So it could have a negative effect. Man, you're not nothing. You're just like your daddy. Man, what are you engineering the child to do? So the minister will look into you. He'll find the best possible spark of divinity laying somewhere in there. And he'll take that and he'll extract it and he'll magnify it and he'll give it to you. And he'll tell you about yourself. He'll settle on the best part of you and he'll focus in on it and then encourage you to live up to that. Live up to that potential, that divine potential that's in you. He's always working for God. He's always like God's mouthpiece. God made you, deposited these divine attributes in you, and then sent the minister to come and pull them out of you, like a man tilling the earth, like a farmer with God's people, And so he, and then at dinner that night, he said, brother, same conversation. He says, I'm going to give you a new name, a new last name, the next time I see you. And then I'm like, yes, sir, brother. And the people are, by this time, the energy is here. It's up here because he's still talking. We're like 30, 40 minutes into the conversation where this is after dinner. I'm standing up in front of him with everyone's like there. All the ministers are there. They're all around. And we thought we were leaving and he stopped and started talking. And so this is 40 minutes later. We're still talking. He's doing most of it. I'm just answering the questions that we're going back and forth. And I'm like, man, I'm trying not to cry because I'm a soldier. I'm like, man, I'm not going to drop a tear tonight. Man, it's not going to happen. And sure enough, the bubbles was out there this far from my eye, but the tear wouldn't drop. Because I'm like, nah, man, this is men's night right here, man. We're not about to cry and do none of that. Even though, maybe somebody else, it was that kind of vibe. You know what I'm saying? But, I kept them in there. I mean, the bubbles was out to here, but I kept them in. So anyway, and I said, yes, sir. And he said, actually, I'm going to name you now. And everybody clapped and cheered, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. And I'm just in a surreal, like, I'm like looking down on myself at this point. You know what I mean? Because I had always saw myself as unworthy of such things. That's just how I saw myself, unfortunately. And that's almost like a sin. It really is. It's a sin that had to be extracted out of me. And COVID did that for me. COVID let me know that, okay, wow, God saved me. Well, he must want me to do something. That like, okay, God, I got you. Okay. So anyway, and he was like, I'm going to name you Ali. Farrakhan Muhammad Ali. That's your last name. And we're all cheering and just Allahu Akbar. And then he said, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to tell you why I named you that. But I don't want to take too much time on this one story, but I know you got a whole list of things to discuss. So we can definitely jump into the next thing. I took way too long with this story.
Oh no,
so come
no,
on,
sir.
Brother Josh.
No, sir. So many people are saying all praises to Allah and liking. Please continue.
Yes, sir. So then he shared why he named me Ali. And then, we're still on 10. It's just so high, the energy is so beautiful and the love is so strong. And the brothers were there and it was just a beautiful experience. And then after that, I just, I walked over because I'm still standing kind of like 10 feet away. And also some people were there who I like knew, and they're like vouching for me a little bit, like kind of like backing up, like, Brother Minister, I had this experience with him and I had that experience with him, and the brother does this. I'm just like, I'm like, who, like me? Like, come on, man. Like, I'm happy to just be able to sell the Final Call newspaper. Like, I was happy at that, brother. I was happy to have the Final Call newspaper in my hand, telling a brother on the corner how he can save his life, telling a sister on the corner selling her body who she really is. Like, I was content with that. But to be here in the presence of Allah's man and his disciples and his companions and this beautiful holy circle of human beings that God has set up to help save Black people and create saviors to go teach the world the knowledge of the true and living God. Oh my God, it's so shocking to me. It's shocking that I would be in the presence of such a thing. And now to be enrolled and engaged in that process is still like a surreal thing. It's surreal to me. It's really surreal to me, brother, that I'm even existing in this reality, knowing from where the circumstances that I was raised in were so difficult, being named Farrakhan with a white mother in the ghetto in America. It wasn't easy. But I see why it had to be difficult. Brother, because you're going to have to overcome difficulty to become the man that God intends for you to be. This is for all of us. This is for all human beings. You have to either sink or swim. And God, out of his fairness and love and mercy, he prepares you for things in stages and degrees. So he doesn't want you to drown until he gives you a chance to learn how to swim. So if you learn how to swim and then he throws you in the water, now you can at least say you learn how to swim. So, so we're swimming through a sea of sin right now, trying to grab a fish and bring him back to the minister so he can send him to Elijah, so we can turn niggas into gods. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Beautiful teaching. Praise be to Allah.
Yes,
we definitely have a few more questions for you, and we want to get more into it. And thank everyone for please continue to like, share, subscribe to the People's Podcast. I want to thank you, Brother Farrakhan Ali, for your great testimony and transparency. Before we finish, I have a quick 60-second commercial for all of the sponsors of the People's Podcast this new upcoming season. And for everyone who is watching, especially I can't wait to put this on YouTube, who watches on YouTube, please continue to like, share, and subscribe to the People's Podcast, because I have people that I've never met before who always show love and they're always supporting and amazing comments. I'm going to start. If you all would like to be a sponsor or donor, please cash that the People's Podcast. Thank you very much. My brother Rashad, Street Premier Media Production. He has a 4K camera and has a drone. He does television and film editing. Please reach out to him if you need any of those. My sister Miriam, ABC I Love Me, children's book and coloring book, both of which are available on Amazon. Please go get both of those. My sister Naima, Stay On Point Dance Academy, LLC. She teaches ballet virtually to young girls all across the country. And right here in studio in Atlanta, Georgia, we love our tiny dancers. Also, Sister Rashida Rafat, Raw Communications. If you're working on a book and need copy editing, project management, content development, media relations, or consulting, please reach out to Sister Rashida Rafat with Raw Communications. She does an amazing job. Thank you very much, Sister Rashida. Our Sister Sherry Muhammad out of Kentucky, Asiatic Minds Online. If you want your child to go to school virtually, they are making young kings, queens, and gods. AsiaticMinds.com, AsiaticMinds.com. Also, Brother Kenneth, bow tie maker extraordinaire. He'll ship bow ties to you anywhere in the country. Thank you very much, Brother Kenneth. Dr. Henry M. Carter right here in Atlanta, Georgia, King Henry's Turkey Legs. Brother Rashad Muhammad of Chicago, COVID-19 disinfecting cleaning services. My father's book, A Soldier in the Movement of Christ, AbdulSharif.com. And last but not least, my two books, Cleopatra, which is a children's book, and No Father, No Excuse, both of which are available on Amazon. Thank you all very much. Boom. Right back to our brother, Farrakhan Muhammad Ali. My next question for you, sir, is you said you learned a lesson about COVID. What lesson was that?
Oh, man. Well, I caught COVID and I was really sick, Josh, like really, really sick. And I almost died and it changed me forever. So for one, it was very humbling. It was very humbling. And for two, it was very revealing. It revealed some things about myself that I did not know. Mm-hmm. And it also allowed me to have like this, there's something that exists in the universe called a chasm. And as you know, you can start off here, right? But the goal is to get here. And there's this like threshold. There's this threshold that it's like the minister crossed it. You know, there's this threshold that you want to get over, and it's a chasm. If you can cross that chasm, then you can go from just having the vision of being up here to actually going up there. So there's always this like big thing, right? And then at that level, of course, there's another chasm to go up to the next level. But this chasm was the chasm of humility. And so you got the teaching, you've got the training. But what prevents us from applying the teaching and the training to being successful in the mission, right? The business of the Nation of Islam is people. It's the resurrection of people. So what prevents us from being successful in our business? It's self-development, self-improvement, because you can't develop a community until you develop yourself, because self-improvement is the basis for community improvement or community development. So humility, it changed me in such a way where I no longer, and I'm trying to, so I used to think that it was okay to judge people. And when you think that you're qualified to judge people, in your mind, you're destroying the possibility of unity. You're destroying the potential of that human being that God put in the, it's an affront to God. You're disrespecting God and yourself by saying you know the divine purpose for that person's creation. Man, it's something about humility that makes you a brother, a brother. Without being humble, without the heart being humble, either you can humble yourself or Allah can. COVID is the great equalizer. Like no one's going to come out of COVID and be the same they were before COVID. And so something about the humbleness of the heart, not thinking too much of yourself, not thinking too highly of yourself. This was the main thing that happened for me with COVID. There's two things that happened. The first is humility. And it showed me that I am not worthy. I'm just not worthy of judging another human being. Anyone, for anything, for any reason. After COVID was humbling, because before COVID, I had good eating habits. After COVID, I was eating pastries and all kinds of stuff. Yeah, I was eating like pastry with my coffee or tea in the morning. Like, bro, it's 9 o'clock in the morning. Why are you eating a snack? You're a FOI. But it's like, yo, I can barely breathe. I'm recovering from COVID. This is conversations I'm having with myself, right? But then it's like, well, wait, what is the next brother recovering from? What kind of spiritual or physical disease does he have? What kind of physical or mental holdup does he have that is causing him to eat at 9 o'clock in the morning? You don't know what people are going through. You are not qualified. 1%. I really thought that I could judge people before COVID, bro. Like I was out here like, man, y'all tripping. Why are you wearing that? Why are you rapping about that? Why are you? It's like, man, that robe of judgment was so heavy. That's why I couldn't move, because the robe is not meant for me to wear. It's too heavy. It's God's robe. So you put on the robe of Allah, you walking around like this. You can't, you're walking around like the hunchback of, you know what I'm saying? The Muhammad, you know, the hunchback of the mosque.
Yes, sir. Yes,
bro,
sir.
why is your back bent like that, bro? Take off the robe of Allah and stop judging your people. And then you could grow wings like the one on your hat, and you can fly over judgment. And we can go free, bro. We can go free because we love one another. You cannot love our people when you're judging them, bro. So COVID gave me this level of humility, brother, that I didn't even know, bro. I didn't even know that I was arrogant. That's the crazy thing about it, bro, Joshua. I didn't even know. I'm just like, I'm repeating what the minister said. I'm repeating what the captain said. They say right here in the Holy Quran, such and such and such and such. It's like, wait a second, brother. Allah wrote that. Who are you? Who are you to use that now as a standard by which to judge? You can use that as a standard to grow into, but you can't use it as a standard to judge your brother or sister with, because you're not worthy. And so the second thing, so that was the first thing. And the second thing it did was God saved me. I survived it. So it showed me that life is fragile and that you have to live every day to the fullest. And that I know that I'm here for something. Now I have to go do that something that I'm here for. And so it activated me. Yeah. It activated a better version of myself though. The old one, I'm glad he wasn't activated, because he wasn't good enough. He wasn't good enough to do what I'm doing right now.
Praise be to Allah. Beautiful, beautiful lesson, sir. And I'm happy that you overcame COVID, and you're doing great things. I want to say my uncle, Minister Jamil, sends the greetings. Brother Kevin says, seek humility before humility seeks you. Thank you all for watching. Thank you, Sister Tanya. I think this is her first time ever watching. Thank you all who continue to like, share, subscribe to the People's Podcast. You're working on something called Hereafter Farms. Can you explain to us what is that?
Yeah, so the 100-acre project was going great, right? We're building a community of like-minded people. We went from, originally we were going to do 99-year leases. But once we got all the people and all the money, I said, well, listen, why don't we just buy some land together as equal owners? That would be better than me doing all the work and let's all own it collectively. And one issue we were faced with was 100 acres was because it was a 99-year lease, people were having trouble finding financing for new home construction. But with everyone's name on the deed, even if we have to subdivide it, now that's a possibility. So people can build their homes. So that was going great. But we had so many people that we needed to, like, we said, well, we can buy more land with other groups of people, and it doesn't have to be part of the 100-acre project. It could be something totally different. So I started buying land because everyone couldn't fit in the 100-acre project. Everyone didn't want to be a part of the 100-acre project, but people still wanted to buy land. So I said, well, let's still do it. Like, why would we not put 10 people together, put our money together, our resources and our minds together, and come together and buy land in the Atlanta area? So that's what we did. We looked for land to buy together, like 10 or 12 of us. And everything was going great. And we found a piece of property, and then I found another piece, and then I found another piece. And people started just like I was putting it on social media. And so new people kept coming in. And so I kept having to make new groups for more land because it just wasn't enough for one parcel here, one parcel there. And Brother Ben X came on the this last property that we were getting on a 27-acre farm. He came on, and once he kind of heard all the details and agreed to come on, he said, well, brother, this is great, but this could be 10 times bigger. It could be 100 times bigger. And so he's thinking huge, like 35 million Black people, 45 million Black people, like every week, or 1 million acres, or, how much wheat does it take to feed 40 million Black people in America? So he's thinking huge. And so we came together to start something that basically is just scaling it. That's all we're doing, is we're taking what's there. Really, it's the teachings, because that's all, that I was doing, was just expressing the teachings. So because the motto is equal ownership, it's very attractive. So what we're doing is, like, for instance, the 27 acres, 12 of us, 27 acres, we all pay the same amount of money down. We all own the same amount of land. We share all the costs. We share all the profit. We share all the ownership. Fair, equal, just, everyone's happy. And so we just had to create a system where that works. And so that's what happened. And so Brother Ben X and myself started something called Hereafter Farms. And Hereafter Farms is basically going to allow every Black person in America a chance to buy land with other Black people, a chance to own land, to do something that they wouldn't otherwise be able to do. If you don't have $30,000 sitting around, but you have $800 sitting around, now we can put you with 9 other people that have $800 sitting around. Buy land, pay it off monthly over a 3, 5, 7-year period, or pay it outright. And now everyone owns land. Then we can use the land. We share in those costs. Then we profit from land. We share in those profits. So then that's one aspect of Hereafter Farms. The other is there's thousands of people that own land that's not being utilized. So those people are reaching out on the other end of the spectrum, saying, hey, brothers, I have 200 acres. Can you use it? Can you do something? Do you want to buy it? And we're here. We have thousands of people on one side looking to buy land now, thousands. You remember when I started 100-acre project, and within a week, I had like 500 people reach out?
Yes, sir.
That was a lot, right? Okay, so we started Hereafter Farms, and within a week, we had 4,000 people show interest. 4,000. And it's the first week, right? So we don't have that many looking to join on, but we have that many showing interest. And so now we have this amazing way, brother, to connect people who have land to people who want land. Also, a brother reached out in Ghana, 200 acres of cocoa, cacao, I think they call it. So talking to him later today, God willing, to figure out a way to import it for Black people in America so that we can have our own products. And we've got a guy in Egypt with 22,000 hectares, 53,000 acres or something like that for olives and dates. We have people all over the country with 1 acre, 100 acres, 300 acres. Brother, let's use this, let's use that. I met with a brother today in person, 2 acres for a community garden to feed the homeless in that city, from farm to tent. You know, it's farm to table. This from farm to tent because they're homeless. And he said, brother, it's children living in those tents with those people. This is an actual homeless community. You don't, for one, you don't have to be homeless anymore because we can put our money together and invest in land, and you can just go live on the land that we invested in because we're not living there. You can utilize the land and work the land that we bought, and you can live off that land and be sustainable. We can end homelessness. I know this sounds big, but it's real. It's not impossible. It's possible. It's not even that difficult with real unity, Brother Joshua. I'm telling you what I'm seeing with my own 2 eyes, brother. I'm looking at the numbers. I'm looking at the people. I'm seeing the land. I'm looking at the homelessness. I'm looking at the politicians are not going to solve the problem. The white man doesn't have enough jobs for his own kind, let alone us. But we can do it if we just pull our resources together. Religion don't even matter. Age does not matter. Ideology, theology does not matter. All that matters is if we can work together in a united effort to solve the needs of our people. And that's what I'm seeing happening right now before my eyes. And Brother Ben X coming on was amazing because he's like, let's scale it. Let's scale it. Let's take it from 100 acres to 1,000, 500, 1,000, 2,000. And then we both had that light bulb moment where it's like, wait, this could be 1 million, 500,000, 100 million. And so there's no end in sight for Hereafter Farms, Brother Joshua. The only end would be the end that we cause with our own 2 hands. And inshallah, I pray, I'm constantly praying for the protection of Allah, for the mercy of Allah to guide us, to stay united, to overcome any difficulty that will come up, because it's an amazing thing, and I'm honored and grateful to be helping our people in such a way.
Praise be to Allah. Beautiful. And sir, thank you all for continuing to like, share, subscribe. Where can people reach out to you once I put this on YouTube? People want to know.
Yeah, right now we don't have a website for Hereafter Farms yet, and all the land on the 100-acre project is sold out. So at Hereafter Farms on Instagram, at Hereafter Farms is it's a great location where they can inbox us, and they can stay updated there as well, but they can also inbox us. And that's actively those responses are like instant. We're actively like engaging and interacting with people on that Instagram. We have someone helping us. And so we'll have a website very, very soon. And inshallah, we're just developing the infrastructure now.
Beautiful. Praise be to Allah. Well, I hope that Allah continues to bless you and your efforts. And thank everyone who's a part of your, like you said, different ideologies, theologies, everybody who's coming together to, to be game changers. So I'm rooting for y'all. May Allah continue to bless you. Thank everyone who is watching. Once again, at Hereafter Farms on Instagram, we look forward to seeing the work of that, the work that you all are doing. And everybody's support. What about you, your personal page on Instagram? What is that, sir?
It's at Brother Farrakhan. At Brother Farrakhan. Y'all can come on there and hear me talk about stuff. And I hope you, yes, at Brother Farrakhan.
At Brother Farrakhan. Thank you very much. I look forward to putting this on YouTube this evening. And everyone stay tuned. I have another interview in 2 hours. People's Podcast new season is back up and running. We look forward to it. Thank you all for watching. This is Joshua Leonard Muhammad signing off for the People's Podcast. Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Wa alaikum salam, Brother Joshua.
Thank you very much for coming on again.
Likewise. Thanks for